Good morning, students. Welcome to Class 7 English. Today, we are going to read the chapter Henry, a Chameleon. It is written by Ruskin Bond. He is also called the modern world's Wordsworth. It is an amazing story of an unusual pet, a chameleon. In the first paragraph, the writer has described about the outstanding features of chameleon. They are a distinct clade of lizards. They have parrot-like claws, separately mobile and flexible eyes, very long tongues, crest or horns on their strange-shaped heads, and many can change color. The writer had kept Chameleon as pet, whose name was Henry. Henry's eyes were its most remarkable features. They were not beautiful, but were striking in other respects. They were independent of each other. Each eyeball could move without disturbing the other. They bulged out and wobbled up and down, backward and forward. The eyes can rotate and focus separately on 180-degree arcs, so they can see two different objects at the same time. A chameleon's tongue is as long as its body, which performs like a boomerang at the time of taking food from the writer's hands. In the second paragraph, the writer had described how the chameleon came to their home. One day, his grandfather was visiting to his friend's house. He saw a noisy scene at the garden gate. Men were shouting, throwing stones, using sticks with anger towards chameleon. They told him that it could poison the people 20 feet away simply by spitting at them. Grandfather saved the chameleon from the people and brought it home. From that day, Chameleon became one of the members of his family. When the writer first met the chameleon, he reacted to him very strangely. Henry would survey him with great caution. In one of his eyes, he observed him thoroughly like a searchlight. When his one eye stopped, the other eye also began to move independently. Henry wanted to take food from the writer's hands. He took food from his hands very swiftly. In the third paragraph, the writer had described how the chameleon had created a horrible situation in the nursery school. Although Henry did not cause any trouble in the writer's house, he created trouble in the nursery down the road. When the papayas were ripe, the writer's grandmother sent a basketful of papayas to her friend Mrs. Ghosh, who was the principal of nursery school. Seeing the basket full of papayas, Henry went there to search for beetles and slipped in among the papayas. Nobody could see him. The gardener carried the basket to the school and left it in Mrs. Ghosh's office. After surveying the school, Mrs. Ghosh started examining the papayas. She discovered Henry was among the fruits. She shouted with fear. Henry looked up at her, both eyes revolving furiously. Henry's color changed from green to yellow to red. He opened his mouth as if he also wanted to shout with fear. Listening the shout, an assistant teacher rushed in. When he saw the chameleon, he started shouting with fear. Henry was terrified. He fled from that place, ran down the corridor, and into one of the classrooms. There he climbed up on a desk. Seeing him, all the children ran in all directions.
See how the students of the nursery school were shouting to encounter the chameleon. Some ran to catch him, and some went away from Henry. Finally, Henry left that place. He came out through a window and disappeared in the garden. Mrs. Ghosh explained everything to his grandmother. She did not tell her that it was their pet. She thought that it might have spoiled their friendship. Grandfather and the writer thought Henry could not find his way back to them as the nursery school was 3 blocks away. But a few days later, the writer saw him in the garden wall. From that day, Henry did not go anywhere. He remained there for the rest of his life. From this story, we know that some dangerous looking creatures are in fact innocent. They are of also great value since they control pest of our cornfields. Students, stay at home and read by yourself because self-learning is the best learning.